What's the first thing you think of when I say Halo Studio? For me, it's the new release of the Halo CE remake that personally I'm going to classify as a neat novelty. However, there are many details the Mass Hysteria Collective are entirely forgetting about the first Halo game that makes the remake even less faithful than it is debated to be. Now, why is this important in the first place? This video is my way of highlighting the laziness of quote-unquote Halo Studios. It's just a reskin of 343, kind of like how this new game is practically a reskin of Infinite. But for longtime Halo fans, the IP has been utterly shit on by the devs of 343, while having some success with, I believe, the multiplayers of 4 and 5. Even Infinite, I enjoyed it a lot. However, in my humble opinion, all the campaigns by 343 or Halo Studios have been complete dog shit. And I think it is important that the community must realize the lack of detail and care being put into this remake. Because think of it like this. You've been a Halo fan for as long as you can remember, being starved for anything Halo. And the supposed devs who are supposed to care about the franchise they represent even rename themselves to be more like the franchise. They reveal a remake of the best Halo game. And you feel like Halo could finally come back, until you look under the hood to see that they truly lack effort. Your favorite franchise becomes an Unreal Engine half-baked game reusing assets because they couldn't even remaster the multiplayer. $60, by the way. And you look more and more into the trailers, and you see more and more differences that just keep building up and piling up until you realize they don't fucking care.
Willkommen, bienvenue, bienvenida, benvindo, welcome to the end, to the bitter dregs, the crack of doom, to the battle of and you've gotten to infinity and the empty room. The apocalypse, it's easy, not as awful as you thought. You've come this far, through thick and thin, your skin and fur is all you've got.
This video will basically be an iceberg video without the iceberg, as I cover very surface level topics before diving into niche and deeper topics that unravel the core of the original Halo and how it's being floundered by Halo Studios. I think the most obvious and glaring issue to cover is the lack of multiplayer, something that I think really encapsulates the game's financially challenged price per content ratio. Think of it like this. They remade Halo CE, but without the combat evolved part. It's just a campaign. I'm serious. I'm serious when I ask this. They have such a big team working on a game where they're already reusing infinite assets, but multiplayer maps aren't even complex. I guarantee you, people are gonna mod multiplayer in because how streamlined Halo 1 multiplayer is. It's objectively simpler. Not that copy and paste is hard anyway, so why not redo the part that is going to add the most playtime to your game? How can we go from the elegant remaster of Oblivion to the public execution of Halo, which used to be so beloved, but now all they do is rob us of joy? I love Halo 1. Halo CE is my favorite multiplayer if you couldn't tell. I think no matter how old you are of a Halo fan, you'll never experience maps in any of your games similar to the staples and gems that Bungie concocted back into the 2000s. I need to make a video on its own to highlight just how the map design peaked here. Let me back off for a second. They definitely aren't objectively the best maps by a gameplay standpoint, but they gave so much charm and unique design elements I've never seen before, where I'm sorry if it's not your favorite, but it really resonates with my soul. Sure, you have your basic maps like Battle Creek and Blood Gulch, which are needed in any multiplayer to be the basic rooted standard gameplay, but they still have their oddities which normally wouldn't see. But then also, you have the absolutely most whimsical experiences such as Longest, Boarding Action, Japhyrophobia, Infinity, Wizard, Hang 'em High, and my favorite Cayenne TRL 34. These are easily put together maps from a development standpoint. Fairly easy to make, as they all pertain basic shape and textures. Look at Longest, for example. It's two hallways. It's literally two hallways with the same texture on every terrain piece. Battle Creek is a symmetrical map. Realistically, they just put one building, they make it once, and they put it on both sides. The big maps, like Infinity and Blood Gulch, they're fields. They're two big fields. There aren't anything special visually, but they have needed charm that the multiplayer brings. A charm Halo Studios decides to vaporize the second they took over. Death Island is literally a campaign mission as a map! The lack of attempt to even try multiplayer already stifles Halo Studios' credibility, to whether they can even deliver on this game. On a studio already stifled by their previous mistakes to where they had to pretend to rebrand to get rid of all negative connotations associated with them. As the trailers continued to release, my fears became more concerning as I look at everything being taken away that brought this game its charm. The next topic I'm going to cover is honestly a bit more decisive. When you boil it down, it does seem really nitpicky, but I want to take this and extrapolate it to the rest of the game and the mindset the devs had when designing this game. What I mean is the gameplay settings that were not originally in Halo CE, but are now default. And yes, I can see how this is very arrogant, you can just turn them off, but I think when you look at it from a different angle, it shows that Halo Studios didn't understand the fundamental design of gameplay Bungie went for. These are features being shoehorned in because Halo Studios aren't skilled enough to think about actual gameplay changes or improvements. These are just slapped on changes that honestly make gameplay most likely worse. The original game wasn't designed around these features, so adding them only ruptures a precedent that the original game set with its flow and mechanics. Now yes, it could be not a big deal, but I still think it is good to highlight this as it shows the lackluster mindset of Halo Studios that exemplifies the obtuse approach that they bring to handling what used to be the most beloved Xbox franchise. I would love this game to be an unending bacchanalia similar to the original. Halo 1's my favorite. It just hurts to see the people who are supposed to handle the franchise charge $60 for this. Honestly, I wouldn't even care if they just had MP. And to be honest, I'm still gonna play it and enjoy it. This is more of a hit piece on Halo Studios and the wider internet landscape as I get into finer details that highlight misconceptions that warp the view on this game. In the remake, a feature that I'm very happy about is new missions. Genuinely, something I'm excited for. They even brought back Sergeant Johnson, but oh wait, he's not reprising his role. But I have hope for the new VA.
Your favorite lean, mean man in green, Sergeant.
Okay, maybe the dialogue's a little rough around the edges, but it's still Johnson.
Well, guess what? They noticed.
Okay, yeah, he would never say that. I don't have as much to critique about the actual VA. They do a good job on the voice. It's just the writing is not great. There's some perfectly fine lines, but some of these, man, just increase my vitriol I feel towards Halo Studios. Makes me worry about the quality of their new content, because if these ever writing choices they deal with, then it's not looking good.
Somewhere beyond the moon, somewhere beyond the moon, somewhere beyond the moon, so high, so high, so high.
Now, many people have probably seen this post about bisexual lighting in the remake to make people gayer. I get it, we live in a heteronormal culture, and people are afraid of a little smooch from a different kind of head. But despite those homophobes being bigoted, they do bring up an excellent point that Halo Studios has definitely forgotten, or maybe is too stupid to understand. Even much of the community has forgotten nowadays that Halo 1 is actually an allegory for bisexuals. The story follows Master Chief against the Covenant and the Flood. Both will be important later. Master Chief is actually a bisexual, which, and I'm sure most people know, as an engineered warrior, the scientists removed many necessary limits, with one being his sexual preference to only being attracted to one gender, which is severely limiting towards Master Chief's performance. Now, this is a crucial detail because as Master Chief fights against the oppression of the Covenant, which is there to represent the conservative household standpoint that wage war on any differences people might have because of their religion. Very much how the Covenant wants to blindly follow their religion to activate the ring that unknowingly will wipe out the universe. Again, this is much like how religious people in the real world will blindly follow values that harm people like bisexual and even attempt to take their rights away, similar to how activating the ring would wipe out the universe. And that is important because the writers at Bungie wanted people to know that the individualistic rights as people, we have to be our own persons with preferences are vital to the success of society, and they want us to fight for a better future where we are free to do as we choose and not be limited to a standalone society dominated by religion and blind faith. As a progressive society, we can rule out more biases towards marginalizations, instead focus on greater human and societal issues rather than attack people that make up the fabric of society for their preferences. It goes even deeper with that, with a flood that represents a deeper rooted evil that conservatives usually embolden themselves in, which is tradition. They justify the right to be hateful based on some deep-rooted tradition that was made up hundreds of years ago, where their society and the world was comparably nowhere similar to how it was today. The flood corrupts the minds of the covenant and affects them just how tradition is supposedly the reason why things should stay how they are. The flood infecting humans, who represent the progressive mindset of being tolerant, shows that the flawed mindset of tradition-pilled conservatives suppress those who prefer something else, not because their point is valid, but because it is repeated over and over again and hammered into their skulls of anyone who thinks differently. So in turn, bisexuals are guilted in, or even essentially brainwashed into supporting them because they fall for the lie, and it's not their fault. It isn't. It's the mind virus that envelops them because of a circumstantial tradition they didn't choose to believe in. Just like how the flood takes control of any life it seeks out, such as tradition overrides any feelings of tolerance because of old worldviews, exactly how the flood is an ancient evil. So, I actually give huge credit to Halo Studios in this regard, because they actually got the undertones right of having a deep, austere viewpoint on the bisexual worldview. It makes me think that I'm wrong about my concerns that they didn't have attention to detail, because this allegory that Halo CE represents seems to be forgotten, and I'm so glad it reminds the people that it's okay to be your own person and have your own preferences in sexuality. Moving on, the Needler is the best gun in Halo Objective. You can see here that it kills faster than every other gun, and it has homing as well, which is simply just overpowered. Now, where I'm going with this is to compare what I see in the trailers, how it looks truly terrible in the remake. And it's disappointing to see probably one of the most, I would say, unique weapon in video gaming history to be tarnished by lazy devs that can't even get the small details right, which show that they really just don't care. And another detail I don't understand. What they add, they just continue to add stuff to ruin the balancing, pacing, which is the addition of frag grenades. There are no frags in Halo CE. I don't know what Mandela effect they see over at Halo Studios. I know there are plasma grenades in the original game, but I don't know why they are adding frags. It only continues to ruin the game balance that I previously mentioned. Another thing, female elites are something that are a staple to Halo multiplayer, and 343, Halo Studios, have been afraid to touch them for some reason, even though they were in Halo 1 for Reach. It feels like they're misogynistic, because we even saw them in Halo 5, and never again, even though they had full animations, executions, and everything. I don't understand their lack of care for the world of Halo that they're supposed to represent. Circling back to the balancing change of weapons, the limiting ammo of the assault rifle, believe it or not, is ATF propaganda. In 2024, there was a bill signed that video games must be compliant to the ATF guidelines, and that wasn't taken well. For example, video game weapons couldn't have the same names as real guns, like that's why Call of Duty has all unique gun names that suck compared to what they used to be. And from interviews I've seen of the development, the dev said, quote, "We have taken liberties to reduce the ammo capacities to showcase the effectiveness of weapons can be with a standardized magazine capacity," which we can infer that this is proof that the ATF is paying Studio to make it seem cooler and just as effective to use reduced weapons. This is to lobby and promote their agenda, to further promote legislation to restrict gun rights, and unfortunately, with the way Microsoft is doing financially, it only makes sense that they took the government's money to do this. I don't really understand how people forget this, and it is insanely stupid that they did, because it is really obvious, but I guess the hysteria-filled, media-ridden brain rot generation, along with the lazy devs, forgot that trees aren't in Halo 1. There isn't a single Halo mission or map with a tree. But what about the map with the trees? I don't know what you're talking about. You mean the land? Yeah, it's land because there's no trees in Halo CE. I'm pissed that one has to destroy any semblance left in the beautifully constructed world by Bungie by adding trees that never existed in the first place. Man, I just can't take it. Just keep building. I don't even know what to say anymore. The greatest sin committed by Halo Studios is the removal of Juliet. On Blood Gulch, if you manage to clip out of bounds, documented by one sole user who's the only person who managed to find a lost girl named Juliet in Halo. This is monumental towards the Halo community. The removal of this shows the lack of care for Easter eggs and fine details that were not addressed in the remake, where they've gone as far to not even include the most iconic Easter egg of Juliet. It just hurts, man. How could they not represent her and disrespect her ghost? She's as real as we are, and devs can't bring themselves to even put respect on her name. I'm done. Thank you for watching this video. I really need to get my thoughts off, as this is my favorite Halo game in the series. And maybe I'll still make the Halo CE maps video, because those are my favorite maps just ever made. Also, no, this isn't serious. I don't really care. I'm just gonna play the game since I have Game Pass and hopefully enjoy. Doesn't mean I don't think there's valid criticisms, but mostly nitpicks. The lack of multiplayer for $60 is a crime. And also, this entire video is fucking bullshit. Like, I went way too hard in the beginning, but it's not serious at all. I think it's just funny.
Into the lake of fire, your bones start to crack. Down on knees, begging for forgiveness, riddled with disease. Taste not shame, taste not grace. Sacrifice your only son, his breath is mine to take. In the soul, in the soul. Your life is not worth living, your heart is just a hole.
The sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light, and the stars will fall from the sky, and the heavenly bodies will be shaken. And then will appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then all the peoples of the earth will mourn when they see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven.
Into the lake of fire, your bones start to crack. Down on knees, begging for forgiveness, riddled with disease. Taste not shame, taste not grace. Sacrifice your only son, his breath is mine to take. In the soul, your life is not worth living, your heart is just a hole.
A day of thick darkness, a day of clouds and of gloominess, blood and fire, and pillars of smoke. The sun shall be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood, before the great and the terrible day of the Lord. against you. He will deliver you into the hands of brutal men, men skilled in destruction. You will be fuel for the fire. Your blood will be shed in your land. The music is over. The great coda